but it's still seen as something not proper. You know, you still see people like, hey, you know, that's the person that they're living together. Or my brother and my sister-in-law did it. They started living together, and when my mom found out, it was hell for my brother. So after that, they married. Like, I think they lived together for 3 or 4 months. And then once my parents find out that he was spending nights there and things like that, there's like, you guys have to marry. So they arrange a civil wedding to get married, and then they can live together. I think it's the culture, and you know, and the fear of you know, I think of the fear of God too, but it's more the culture, because I personally love the Aztec history, and I have read a lot of books about it, and the culture was like that. The culture was that you married, you're a virgin when you're married, you know, you go with your husband, and wherever your husband goes, you go. Whatever your husband says, you do. So that's actually, that comes from more from the Aztecs and the culture than from the religion. I guess the religion just came to tie it out, but it was something that you have to do. And there was arranged marriage also before time. You know, like in the Aztec, it was arranged marriage. The families, when they were born, they already decided who was going to marry who. That changed with Christianity, but it was like that. They used to, the families, for example, they used to be neighbors, and they had kids. They decided, okay, we're going to marry our kids, you know, kind of like an Islamic way. So when I hear people talking about Mexicans or Hispanics as Americans, and don't get me wrong, I like America. This is a very, very good country, but it's not the same. Our culture is not the same. So that's when my husband told my mother-in-law that she was marrying me, and he told her where I was from. They thought, oh, she's American. You know, she's American. She's going to divorce at the first problem they had. She's gonna do things like this. But this is not. I'm not an American. I'm Mexican. So my culture is different. After college, I work in this factory. I worked there for 2 years. Then after that, I met my husband, and then things happened so fast. I didn't work, and I have not worked since I came to the U.S. Before I was Muslim, I didn't really know about Islam. The only thing I knew about Islam was about the news. You know, the beatings of women in Saudi Arabia, that women in Saudi Arabia are not allowed to drive. At that time, it was around 1890s, there was a movie by Sally Field called Not Without My Daughter. And it was about this American married an Iranian. And then, you know, he's very nice here in the U.S. He's the perfect husband. But once everybody moves to Iran, it's totally a bad thing for her. He beats her up. He treats her bad. He makes her wear the burqa. So it was that gave us that bad side of Islam. So that's what I knew about Islam. I didn't knew any Muslims. I didn't knew any person out of Mexico, to tell you the truth. The only one was my sister-in-law, which is from Panama, which is also Latin America. So I didn't know anything accurate about Islam. I only knew the bad part. So I'm in college. I stopped working, and at this time, my life, it's a party. College, it's party. You go to school. Then weekends is, you know, you go party with your friends, and that was my life. And one of those parties, one of my classmates from college had a birthday in his house, so we went. And he also worked in a factory that my husband visited from the U.S. And I think it's just destiny, or like Allah's will. I think that's what it was, because my husband was going to go somewhere else, but the person that was going to take him somewhere else stood him up. So then he called my friend, asked him, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's like, I cannot go out. I have a party in my house. Do you want to come over? Engineering in my country is a man's thing. There's not many women. The percentage of women in engineering is very low. So then my husband asked him, "How many girls is there?" He was also a single guy. "How many girls is there?" And the guy said, "Oh, like, 5. It's like, oh. He's like, "Okay, I have nothing to do. I'm already ready. I'm just gonna go." And he's like, "Okay." So then he came to the house, to the party, and that's how I met him. And for some reason, I don't know, I think it's just Allah's plan that I had always been very good in English subject. English as a second language was always my ace. So I had, some knowledge of English. He didn't speak any Spanish. So we started, this conversation, and he had to leave the next day. So we just exchanged numbers and left. And at that time, I as a non-Muslim, I was dating. I was, going to parties, and, I met other guys and stuff like that. And so, it was just like another guy that I met in the party and gave me his number, and that's it. Well, like about a week later, he called me. And so then we started talking. And we started talking and talking and talking. And we talked so much during 1 month that his bill came up to $600 in 1 month. Because we talked for like hours on the phone. Then he said, "I'm gonna come back. Can I see you?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "But you know what? If you want to see me, you're gonna have to come to my house and pick me up." And let me tell you something. In that party, I always go out with my friends, very close friends or cousins. I had never really go out with guys to a discotheque or live in a party with a guy, because that's not how we are. That's not how we are. We always protect each other. We go in a group of girls and come back in that same group of girls. Nobody goes with anybody. That night, it was the first time that I leave the party with somebody, and that one was my husband. And I don't know why. My friends asked me, "Are you sure? Call us as soon as you get home." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think it'll be okay." So he took me home. I had to teach him some manners, because as an American, I guess, dealing with American ladies, he just parked the taxi cab, stopped, and he's like, "Okay, well, bye." And I'm like, "Bye? You have to walk me to my door." I said, "You don't just say bye. You have to walk me to my door and wait until I get in, and then you can go." So then he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry," So then he did. So that's one of the things that, being, I guess, only girl, my brothers and my dad had always taught me that the guys have to, they have to work for you if they really want you. So that was, it was just funny. I always say that because he now he's very different dealing with my family and our culture. But at that time, he was just, "Okay, well, bye." I'm like, you have to take me. So after that, we start calling and talking and everything. And then when he came to my house. So he said, "Yeah, no problem. I'll come to your house. I meet your parents. I don't have any problem with that." So he came and brought presents for me, flowers. So my parents were ecstatic. They were so happy. But they didn't like the age difference. My husband is 13 years older than me. And, at that time I was 20. So we went out, we went to the mall, we went to eat. He treated me very nice. Everything was very good. So we repeat this almost every month, at the point that we got to fall in love, actually. And during this time, I've seen him pray. He practiced. He is very a practicing Muslim. He's a modern Muslim, but he practiced. So the first time I saw him pray, I felt so like I didn't belong there. Like I was an intruder on his prayer. So then I asked him, what is that you're doing? He said, well, I'm praying. I said, why are you praying? Well, I'm Muslim. And I said, what is that? So then he explained to me. And at that time, it was the craze. In my country, I started the craze of the personal computers. And